Grey Pilgrims, TSF Podcast, Episode 2, The One That Got Away. On the 28th of August, 1918, during the Second Battle of Cambrai, the 5th English Battalion was in action to the west of the Canal du Nord in France. A British soldier serving near the French village of Marcoing, named Private Henry Tandet, was in charge of one of several bombing parties on the German trenches. As the forward parties were being held up, Tandet took 2 men and dashed across open ground, no man's land, under fire, and bombed a trench. He returned with 20 prisoners. This action led to the capture of the German positions, and Tandet was awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal, the DCM, on the 5th of December, 1918. The citation read, Private H. Tandet. He was in charge of a reserve bombing party in action, and finding the advance temporarily held up, he called on 2 other men of his party, and working across the open in rear of the enemy, he rushed a post, returning with 20 prisoners, having killed several of the enemy. He was an example of daring courage throughout the whole of the operations. Henry Tandet was also an English recipient of the Victoria Cross, the highest award for gallantry that can be awarded to British and Commonwealth forces. He was the most highly decorated British private of the First World War. Tandet was 27 years old and a private in the 5th Battalion Duke of Wellington's West Riding Regiment when he performed the actions which earned him the Victoria Cross, or the VC. On the 28th of September, 1918, during a counterattack at the canal, following the capture of Marcoing, France, his platoon was stopped by machine gun fire. Tandet crawled forward, located the gun position, and with a Lewis gun team silenced it. Reaching the canal crossing, he restored the plank bridge under heavy fire. In the evening, he and 8 comrades were surrounded by an overwhelming number of the enemy. Tandet led a bayonet charge, fighting so fiercely that 37 of the enemy were driven into the hands of the remainder of his company. Although twice wounded, Tandet refused to leave until the fight was won, eventually going into hospital for the 3rd time on the 4th of October, 1918. An eyewitness, Private H. Lister, recounted the episode. I was number 1 of the Lewis gun team of my platoon. I witnessed the whole of the gallantry of Private Tandet throughout the day. When we got to the canal crossing and the bridge was down, Private Tandet, under the fiercest of aimed MG fire, went forward and replaced planks over the bad part of the bridge to enable us all to cross without delay, which would otherwise have ensued. On the same evening, when we made another attack, we were completely surrounded by Germans, and we thought the position might be lost. Private Tandet, without hesitation, though he was twice wounded very nastily, took the leading part in our bayonet charge on the enemy to get clear. Though absolutely faint, he refused to leave us until we had completely finished our job, collected our prisoners, and restored the line. Henry Tanday was born in Leamington, Warwickshire, the son of a former soldier whose wife had died early in their child's life. He spent part of his childhood in an orphanage before becoming a boiler attendant at a hotel. Tanday enlisted into the Green Howards Regiment on the 12th of August, 1910. After basic training, he was posted to their 2nd Battalion on the 23rd of January, 1911. He took part in the Battle of Ypres in October 1914 and was wounded on the 24th of October 1916 at the Battle of the Somme. On discharge from the hospital, he was posted to the 3rd Battalion on the 5th of May 1917 before moving to the 9th Battalion on the 11th of June 1917. He was wounded a second time on the 27th of November 1917 during the Battle of Passchendaele. After his second period of hospital treatment, he returned to the 3rd Battalion on the 23rd of January 1918 before being posted to the 12th Battalion on the 15th of March, where he remained until the 26th of July 1918. On the 26th of July 1918, Tanday transferred from the Green Howards to the Duke of Wellington's West Riding Regiment. He was posted to their 5th Battalion on the 27th of July 1918. On the 12th of September, the 5th Battalion was involved in an attack at Havrincourt, where Tanday again distinguished himself, having rescued several wounded men under fire the previous day. Tanday again led a bombing party into the German trenches, returning with more prisoners. For this action, Tanday was awarded the Military Medal, the MM, on the 13th of March 1919. Tanday was 27 years old and a private in the 5th Battalion Duke of Wellington's West Riding Regiment when he performed the actions which earned him the Victoria Cross, the VC, on the 28th of September 1918. On that same day, another curious incident happened in Private Henry Tanday's life. He made a decision. You see, he encountered a wounded German soldier and declined to shoot him. As Tanday later told sources, during the final moments of that battle, as the German troops were in retreat, a weary German soldier wandered into Tanday's line of fire. The enemy soldier was wounded and did not even attempt to raise his own rifle. Tanday chose not to shoot. The German soldier saw him lower his rifle and nodded his thanks before wandering off. "I took aim but couldn't shoot a wounded man," Tanday remembered, "so I let him go." The German soldier nodded in thanks and disappeared. That same German soldier that Tanday spared apparently saw a newspaper report about Tanday being awarded the VC in October 1918, recognized him, and clipped the article. Oddly, another photograph appeared in London newspapers earlier in the war involving Private Tanday. The photo was of Tanday carrying a wounded soldier at Ypres in 1914. This was later portrayed on canvas in a painting by the Italian artist Fortunino Matania, glorifying the Allied war effort. Ironically, the German soldier that Tanday spared went on to survive the Great War and purchased a copy of the Matania painting because he again recognized Tanday in the painting as the British soldier who spared his life in 1918. He proudly displayed the photo-based painting, commenting to others who viewed it, "That man came so near to killing me, that I thought I should never see Germany again. Providence saved me from such devilishly accurate fire as those English boys were aiming at us. That's the man who nearly shot me. He believed Private Tanday's benevolent action was part of the grand scheme of things. Perhaps the gods were watching over him for some special plan. He never forgot the moment he stared down the barrel of death, nor the face of the man who spared him when he stumbled across the newspaper featuring the famous image of Private Tanday, which noted his being awarded the VC for bravery. Henry Tanday died childless in Coventry in 1977, aged 86. In accordance with his wishes, he was cremated and interred at the British Cemetery at Marqueen, alongside fallen comrades and close to where he won the Victoria Cross 60 years earlier. The German soldier Tanday spared also died childless as well, and his body was also cremated, though he died more than 30 years before Tanday. Ironically, he also was awarded medals for bravery during World War I. On a recommendation by Lieutenant Hugo Gutmann, he received the Iron Cross First Class on the 4th of August 1918, a decoration rarely awarded to one of his rank. Like Tanday, he had also been a private. The annals of history are full of fateful moments which scholars refer to as the great what-ifs of history, where if events had taken only a slight deviation, the course of human affairs would have been dramatically different. Tanday was haunted the remainder of his life by his good deed. The simple squeeze of a trigger would have spared the world a catastrophe which cost tens of millions of lives. He was living in Coventry when the German Luftwaffe destroyed the city in 1940, sheltered in a doorway as the building he was in crumbled and his city burned like a scene from Dante's Inferno. He was also in London during the Blitz and experienced that atrocity firsthand. He told a journalist in 1940, "If only I had known what he would turn out to be. When I saw all the people, women and children he had killed and wounded, I was sorry to God I let him go." You see, the German soldier that Tanday spared on September 28, 1918, was a Lance Corporal named Adolf Hitler. And the lieutenant who recommended he receive the Iron Cross First Class on the 4th of August 1918 was Hitler's Jewish superior. Hitler kept the Matinea painting of Tanday, and on becoming Chancellor of Germany, he hung it in his new country retreat in Bavaria and pointed it out with pride. He even showed it to British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, who traveled to Germany in 1938 to engage Hitler in a last-ditch effort to avoid another war in Europe.